Good morning, Bitcoin. The Fed cut interest rates by 50 basis points for the first time in 4 years today. Easy money printing policy is back. Bitcoin is going to rip. We briefly pumped to above $61,000. $10 trillion BlackRock has released a full report on Bitcoin. Wall Street is set to ramp up their Bitcoin marketing efforts. We have hedge fund managers like Anthony Scaramucci calling for 100K by the end of the year. We'll dive into that. MicroStrategy, their convertible note offering, is way oversubscribed by about $175 million. And Trump made history today as the first US president to pay in Bitcoin. Surprising turn of events, didn't surprise most people, but Plan B, the creator behind the stock-to-flow model, has called all models wrong, including his. And he thinks we get Samson Mau's Amiga candle in 3, 2, 1. So let's dive straight into it. Bitcoin did pump briefly straight after the FOMC meeting all the way up to 61,135. We have come down a little bit. If I just hit refresh here, see where we're sitting. We're just down in the last 24 hours, but barely. We are holding nice and strong. For a 50 basis point rate cut, the markets have acted very bullish, very favorable. In the last 24 hours, high 61,135, a low of 59,212. We'll come back to the numbers, but the CBDC letter breaking. The Federal Reserve, they've cut interest rates by 50 basis points in their first rate cut since March 2020. This officially marks the most surprising Fed decision since 2009. Now, President Trump, short little video here, making history. Vivek, Donald Trump uses Bitcoin to pay to bar in New York. Wild times. It is wild times. And the greatest thing is, work for Trump, it'll work for you. Bitcoin does not discriminate, it just works. But here's a video of former President Donald Trump making US history.
Here, phone. I'm just going to scan this QR code here with this phone if you want to take that from them. Scan that QR code right here. Take pictures. Oh, right there. Right there. Just that one. Slight technical difficulty.
All right. And fantastic, it went through.
How funny. He needed his handheld and they did it for him, but it is history being made. I guess it's sort of fake news because they did type in everything for him, but it's a historic event nonetheless. Hedge fund manager Anthony Scaramucci says Bitcoin could hit 100K by the end of the year. And he has caveated it could hit 100K. Yes, it could, or it may not, or it could be much higher as well. But the marketing efforts of Wall Street, they're ramping up. We're going to dive into that shortly. But Jay Powell, his historic speech, 2 minutes 32 worth of questioning time. TFTC, Jerome Powell, we've been very patient about reducing the policy rate. That patience has really paid dividends in the form of our confidence that inflation is moving sustainably under 2%. Just real quick morning, everyone watching live, watching the replay. If you haven't already, smash the like button, the subscribe button on your way in. Good morning. Shout out to Earthbum Spranza, exiting the house. Tony Love there in the live chat this morning. Jerome Powell, it's amazing. All eyes turn on this guy.
Okay. Multiple questions there, but so I would say we don't think we're behind. We do not think we think this is timely, but I think you can take this as a sign of our commitment not to get behind. So it's a strong move. Sorry, your other question was?
Well, is this about what happened in the employment data between this meeting and the last meeting, or is this about the level of the funds rate, the high nominal level of the funds rate relative to what might be expected if you're trying to maintain equilibrium?
So I think it's about, we come into this with a policy position that was put in place, as you know, I mentioned in July of 2023, which was a time of high inflation and very low unemployment. We've been very patient about reducing the policy rate. We've waited. Other central banks around the world have cut, many of them several times. We've waited, and I think that patience has really paid dividends in the form of our confidence that inflation is moving sustainably down to 2%. So I think that is what enables us to take this strong move today. I do not think that anyone should look at this and say, oh, this is the new pace. You have to think about it in terms of the base case. Of course, what happens will happen. So in the base case, what you see is, look at the SEP. You see cuts moving along. The sense of this is we're recalibrating policy down over time to a more neutral level, and we're moving at the pace that we think is appropriate given developments in the economy in the base case. The economy can develop in a way that would cause us to go faster or slower, but that's what the base case says.
And if I could follow up on the balance sheet. In 2019, when you did the mid-cycle adjustment, you ceased the balance sheet runoff. With a larger cut today, should there be any signal inferred about how the committee would approach end state on the balance sheet policy?
So in the current situation, reserves have really been stable. They haven't come down. So reserves are still abundant and expected to remain so for some time. As you know, the shrinkage in our balance sheet has really come out of the overnight RRP. So I think what that tells you is we're not thinking about stopping runoff because of this at all. We know that these two things can happen side by side. In a sense, they're both a form of normalization. And so for a time, you can have the balance sheet shrinking, but also be cutting rates.
Jerome Powell's absolutely amazing. He's got a way with words, it's for sure. We have just turned a little bit negative. We're pretty much sitting flat in the last 24 hours. But one of the things Jerome Powell was saying is they're very confident inflation is moving back under 2%. I don't think this signals inflation coming down ever again. Not for the next 6, 12, 18 months at least. I think they're going to drop interest rates further. We may get another 50 basis point rate cut by the end of the year. That's the rumors at the moment that are going out in the Twitter sphere. And then if they just fire up the money printer, we've got inflation, QE, infinity. We'll see. It's really interesting.
Okay.
It's really interesting times. What's most surprising is Bitcoin didn't dump on such a large rate cut, biggest one in a very long time. So a bit of an overview on it. The Fed, they cut interest rates by 50 basis points. Bitcoin briefly hit $61,000. It just pumped on that moment. Market participants were uncertain about the size of the rate cut prior to the Fed meeting. There's about a 50-50 chance or 45-55, respectively, laying the groundwork for market volatility. US Federal Reserve lowered its benchmark Fed funds rate by 50 basis points to 475 to 500 basis points on Wednesday, marking the first rate cycle cut in 4 years after the central bank's most aggressive hiking cycle. The committee has gained greater confidence that inflation is moving sustainably towards 2% and judges that the risks to achieve its employment inflation goals are roughly in balance. Well done. The economic outlook is uncertain. The committee is attentive to the risk to both sides of its dual mandate. Just really quickly, we have gone green on the day Bitcoin is at $60,423. Let's get it. This is in the 420 range. Now, Fed members expect median benchmark rates to come down to 4.4% by year-end, reflecting some 50 basis point more cuts in the next two Federal Open Market Committee meetings, according to Fed's quarterly economic projection. Couple more things here. The US economy, it's in a good place. Now, decision today is designed to keep it there. Good luck, Powell said. Sorry, I said that to Powell. Powell said during the press conference following the meeting, he said the unemployment rate stand anywhere in the low 4% is a good labour market, and he doesn't see any evidence that the likelihood of a recession or downturn is elevated. He added that the Fed is still not declaring victory over inflation, at least they're honest, and a further 50 basis points should not be considered as the new pace for further rate cuts, reiterating the Fed's data-dependent approach. In the minutes following the FOMC meeting decision, the price of Bitcoin shot up 1.2% to 61K, fell below 60,000, was sitting at 60,430 at this second. That's the price there, live. Most flat over the past 24 hours pretty much has been sideways action. If you zoom out, US equities erased all their early gains in the Fed decision, with the tech-heavy NASDAQ 100 and S&P 500 closing the session lower. And then gold first surged to hit a new all-time high over 2.6, then retraced the end of the day in the red. And Bitcoin still holding up nice and strong. on this news. So yesterday, $10 trillion financial firm BlackRock, they released a full report on Bitcoin, saying it's unique, diversified. The new marketing team is here. That report is definitely worth reading. If this, I will repost this at Sean Clark 911 in the comment section. You will see a link here, and we've got a link. I can post this as well to make it real easy, and you can read that full report. Well worth your time. So Oliver Veliz, BlackRock is going hard in the orange pilling efforts. It's interesting to see the angles they take. The super wealthy, their clients think and respond to things differently than most. Watching how BlackRock appeals to and educates them can be eye-opening. We've got Matt Warren, Andy C, Tony Love in the house. I will... Matt Warren wants to zap the show. Greatly appreciated. If you can pay that forward and send it to a charity, someone in need, greatly appreciated. Thanks so much, Matt Warren. Very kind of you, though. BlackRock's latest report on Bitcoin includes a striking comparison table highlighting how Bitcoin, S&P 500, and gold performed after major geopolitical events. Matt Warren, we can get into something else. Maybe we can put a QR code up there, and then collectively, as a community, we can choose a charity for this to go to, or everyone can just go do it themselves. There's no pressure, but maybe that's an option. If you're not willing to pay it forward, I can pay it forward, but it's such a kind thing. BlackRock's latest report on Bitcoin includes a striking comparison table highlighting how Bitcoin, S&P 500, and gold performed after major geopolitical events. The COVID outbreak, 10-day return, down 25%, the 60-day return up 21%. Where else has it gone negative? The Russian invasion of Ukraine was down 6%. Within the 10 days, 60 days is up 15%. The US regional banking crisis just pumped 25%, and then 60 days, 32% respectively. On average, what one was this? Well, 2020 election challenges, it pumped 131% in 60 days. So what do we got coming up out of here? We've got election challenges coming up, US regional banking crisis. We could definitely see another one of those. The yen carry trade unwinding again could happen, but not much to be able to play. Iran escalation definitely could happen. Another scamdemic could definitely happen around the time of the election. So imagine if we get all of those with this loose money printing. That's a bit of tinfoil hat speculation, but it is possible. It's like that game of bingo that a lot of people enjoy. Now, Plan B, he's come out and said all models are wrong. Some are useful. The power law and the stock to flow are both wrong and both useful. In my opinion, it is absurd and very, very temporary that Bitcoin market cap is lower than gold market cap, while Bitcoin is twice as scared as gold. By the way, that's not the original Plan B model, but someone else variant he found on Google. What's happening there is there's been a bit of disrespect between Plan B and Giovanni. Definitely agree with Plan B here. Agree. All models are wrong. Some are useful. If a model can allow you to buy, stack, and how funny. Sorry, it hasn't come up. The thing. Here we go. Plan B. It wasn't shown, but he said it loud and clearly. Useful if they get you to hold, or at least for me, the stock to flow did get me to hold Bitcoin, accumulate Bitcoin flat out. So it was a really useful model for that. I didn't try trade on it. So I like the models for that, but I think it's pretty cool. And then he is saying Amiga candle in 3, 2, 1. We did get one Lebanon overnight in the last 24 hours. Let's catch up to where I was. That's the historic photo of Trump with this gentleman here holding the QR code for him. It's a shame he was so close, almost there, but oversubscribed to $875 million from 700 million. The interest rate is 0.625%. So this MicroStrategy, their convertible senior note debt offering, this is incredible. This brings MicroStrategy's annual interest expense paid semi-annually to $33.7 million. Imagine having that as an interest rate expense. It's hectic. This is just over the amount that was paid annually for the 6.125, wow, $500 million senior note that is about to get repaid for $523 million. That's crazy. In plain English, they're borrowing $4.1 billion for the same carry cost as this $500 million loan. This opens up the ability for them to take on more convertible debt this year and next if they want to. They have a lot of room to work with. With this move, they also reduced their blended interest rate from 1.6% to 82 basis points. Absolutely unreal. Well done, MicroStrategy, Michael Saylor. He has taken all that Bitcoin though, so I don't even think he cares if he leaves any left for any of us. If you need any help getting your Bitcoin off the exchange, today's sponsor, the best in the business, the Bitcoin Way, 25 years cybersecurity experience. The team can educate you. They can teach you how to run an air-gapped wallet, run your own node, and just do an overall security check. We're dealing with generational wealth, in my opinion. I think about it 10, 20x higher than where it is now, like as a base case. Time frame, I don't know. It's not a price prediction. But for me, hold on for dear life, protect it all for dear life. Tony and the team, they've been instrumental in my journey. The first 30 minutes is free. If you've got any concerns, you just want to make sure you're doing everything right, or you want to upgrade your security model, even go into multi-sig, as we're dealing with these larger and larger numbers. And I think Bitcoin's about to pump something hectic over the next 6, 12, 18 months. Reach out, and there is a link at the top of the description. But again, the first 30 minutes is free, and they'll never touch your keys or your coins. You stay in full control. They just simply give you the knowledge so you can become a self-sovereign individual. Absolutely epic. I'll be talking to Tony later this week. So Oliver Valise, my thoughts regarding paper Bitcoin. And this is a good piece of mind here because there are quite a lot of rumors with Coinbase at the moment and Baldylocks Brian Armstrong saying we are not going to provide proof of reserves. Bitcoin community is up in angst with it, and it's pretty interesting that they won't do it, especially with their, what is it, CBTC or something, CBBTC, Coinbase Bitcoin. They're not going to show any proof of reserves. But Oliver's thoughts, there is no person, firm, group, or organization that has ever played the paper Bitcoin game that is not either dead or in jail. Let that sink in. If anyone today is trying this, which I doubt, they're playing a very deadly game that will most definitely end in death or jail. Paper games, which do exist, only work long-term with assets, which you control a dominant portion of the supply via centralized custody. This is imperative for these games to work effectively. 88% of Bitcoin's existing supply is in self-custody. Absolutely fantastic, non-centralized in any way. This makes the asset totally uncontrollable. It would be eventual suicide to play paper games when only 12% of the supply is centralized, and that number is declining each year, not increasing. So Oliver's summary here: paper games can't be played successfully with an item like Bitcoin, not over any significant period of time. So relax, don't get perturbed and distracted by this FUD. I like that we Bitcoiners are sensitive to everything and are ready to strike whenever we get a whiff of something wrong. But in this case, I believe the concern to be way overblown. My 2 cents. Fairly grounded way to be able to approach it. US Congressman, moving on here, is really pushing back. It was pretty hectic, the full 4 minutes 30. I'm not going to play all of that. We'll play about the first 1 minute 30, just to get a taste of what Warren Davidson says. But Gary Gensler and the SEC has willfully undermined the ability to custody Bitcoin. It's over $1 trillion just for Bitcoin. Clearly, lots of consumers find value in this space. We'll play just the start, but it's a really good clip of Mr. Davidson.
Mr. Reiners, I hope no one's listening to you about this market, especially as a student trying to understand the space. It's over $1 trillion just for Bitcoin. The market's over $2 trillion. Clearly, lots of consumers find value in this space. And frankly, the idea that you could point out that there's only one time that the SEC was even partially wrong has to be willful ignorance. I mean, I don't know how it could be anything other than deceit. It's hard for me to understand, because on August 29th, 2023, the Circuit Court upheld the position that the SEC violated the Administrative Procedures Act when it denied Grayscale's application to convert Grayscale Bitcoin Trust into a Bitcoin ETP. Following that decision, the SEC waited until January of 2024 to actually approve the conversion, And they basically was a pure rebuke of the actions. If you look at Debt Box, another pure rebuke. Lawyers would normally get disbarred for the conduct of SEC in the Debt Box case. So there are.
It's pretty full on, well done, Warren Davidson. We have turned neutral in the last 24 hours, hitting the grey button there, which we don't see all too often. It's a nice one to be able to smash when you do see it. 60,458. Are we starting to miss 58K after having 58K for so long? Hey, we may get it again, or we may not. I just buy, stack, and chill. I don't know whether to show this video or not. Let us know. This is hectic. This signals the end of ETH, literally. I think this is truly the moment Ethereum died. If you're interested in Vitalik singing, let us know in the live chat, and we can bring it up at the end of the video. But let's hit refresh on the block and see where we're at. And just really quickly, it's going to be a shorter video today. We'll get into a banner shortly. I've got about 4 more news articles to cover, and then I'll be interviewing Dr. Sean Baker, the dietitian or the doctor behind the carnivore code. So if you've got any questions in regards to the carnivore diet, let us know in the live chat, and I can write them down and I can ask him straight after this live stream this morning. If you're watching the replay, I would have already recorded. My apologies, but we are at block height 861,890. 7th exchange rate 60,386, or on the clock behind us we got 60,474. There's always a little bit of a spread. Sets per USD. For $1 you get 1,656. The best altcoin to buy under $1 is Satoshis, as many as possible, and for every $1 you get 1,656. Or you can go out there and you can be a degen and just ape into Bitcoin at 60,390 odd dollars. What I want to see is the hash rate. It's down 2.85%, little bit different to the last 2 days, down 12%, then up 25%, and we're only down 3% today. We are running a little bit slow, not by a hell of a lot, but a little bit. And the fees, they're epic. It's really good. If you need to do some UTXO management, today's the day. Like, we're literally just in sideways action, red, green, and grey right at the minute. But if you need any help with your UTXOs, BTC sessions, you can watch some tutorials here on YouTube, or if you want to get educated and specific for your situation, reach out to the Bitcoin Way. Oh, yeah, this is scary, totalitarian. I'll only touch on it really quickly. The Reserve Bank in Australia has released their CBDC roadmap for the next 3 years. They are working on this. Obviously, we got the digital ID bill earlier this year. This is the march towards tyranny, and obviously free speech here is under attack as well. So hopefully people are stringing these things together, and it may not ever be as bad as I think it will be, but it could be. So I'm just planning like crazy. I expect it, doing what I can to push back against it, but they're not stopping. They're going for it. Hopefully we can get someone. Hopefully this just falls over. Otherwise, just time to opt out. But I chucked it into Venice AI to find out why it could potentially lead to control or tyranny. I just copied and pasted it. If Australia's central bank digital currency is implemented. So number one is surveillance. A CBDC could enable the government and central bank to track every transaction, allowing them to monitor the financial activities of citizens closely. It's always about control, yeah? Financial control, the central bank could set limits on how much individuals can spend or save, effectively controlling their personal finances. You've gone over your allocated meat ration for the week. You need to stop. We're just not going to allow you to be able to get onto a plane, onto a train, to be able to buy groceries. These things happen in different countries in the world already, so it's not unrealistic. Negative interest rates. The central bank, they could impose negative interest rates on CBDC holdings, incentivizing people to spend more and save less, which could lead to economic instability. That's the agenda: own nothing and be happy. Mandatory usage, it'll be forced on us. Manipulation of prices. The central bank could manipulate prices of goods and services, which they're trying to do through rent controls at the moment. Though through its controls over the CBDC, potentially leading to economic imbalances, loss of privacy. It goes without saying. Black swan event. In times of crisis, the central bank could use its control over the CBDC to impose strict measures such as limiting transactions or imposing severe penalties for non-compliance. And they just keep pushing it there. We can opt out. We can say no, F you, and just buy, stack, and chill. That's my plan. But they're really going hardcore with it. They just don't want to stop. And we'll bring them up. We'll play them. The sound's a little bit quiet, but this was the moment that Ethereum died. I don't feel sad. I feel, oh man. Anyway, I'll let you decide.
And its properties are far better than all the rest of them. It's mathematical. No more double spend. It's encryptable. Put your cash in your brain or it's wearable. A new form of wealth begins.
That's amazing. So that's the news with the fast facts. We're going to get into a quick little bit of a banter. If you haven't already, do us a massive favor. If you can smash the subscribe button, smash the like button. 2 reasons. Number 1, it helps me get the message out. It'll also show, number 2 is it'll also show Google, YouTube, especially if you're searching on Google or YouTube to push more Bitcoin content. YouTube and Google, they are owned by each other, or Google owns YouTube. So the more people are looking for Bitcoin, sharing Bitcoin content, it just pushes out. Bitcoin is still cheap. It's definitely under 100K at the moment. And one day we're just going to wake up, be like 60K. In my opinion, was a great opportunity. 60K, really like $58,000 feels like 9,800 that we had a short couple of years ago. It's absolutely insane. It just goes up, just adds a 0 or a couple of zeros to it. So let's get into a quick bit of a banter. There's some epic comments there in the chat. What a grand and glorious day. Today really marks, in my opinion, or from what I can understand, more rate cuts are coming. Easy money printing is here. They're just going to find whatever reason to inject a whole lot of liquidity into the market. And I think it's going to be crazier than 2020. That's my belief. And they're going to try to inject all this liquidity to stop more and more regional banks and stuff failing. I think the world, America's, was it second and third largest bank crisis in American history happened last year? They didn't fix the problem. They're just pushing it down the road. So I think it's just going to extrapolate, get bigger and bigger. And is it going to happen tomorrow? Is the world going to fall over tomorrow? Maybe, maybe not. We saw it with Japan. Just woke up and like, whoa, the world is very precarious. I think we're just like one moment away from them just injecting a huge amount, and then I think we're really off to the races. Earthbum Spranza, good to see you. Exit, hello mate. Tony Love, morning lads or evening. G'day from Boston. Andrew C, I absolutely love Boston. My wife's an associate professor over there at Yale, Yale, Boston. And so is it New Haven that's just near it? And what's that little town? It's right on the water, and they've got like seaweed farming out from it, and it's got these little islands, and it's called not Thimbleberry, something berry place, not Blueberry. It's named after a berry, I'm sure. Anyway, it's absolutely beautiful. We stayed there for like 3 months a couple of years back, and then Boston is cool to go into, but there was some people like being spiked, and there's like some major overdoses and stuff twice. Both times were in the city, which was pretty hectic, but that surrounding area, really cool. And Yale Library, well, that's a treat. Their rare books library. Matt Warren, finally I made it before the end of the live stream. It's good to see you, Matt Warren. As always, bullish on G'day Bitcoin and my brothers and sisters in freedom in the great Australia. Get a First Amendment though. If only. And how crazy is it, Hillary Clinton trying to censor your right to free speech? They like, where's this coming from? It truly is like people like Bill Gates, the World Economic Forum, just colluding to be able to control. They hate it that people can say what they want. And yeah, like I all get things wrong. We all get things wrong. But by allowing open, free conversation, we can challenge back each other, which is absolutely amazing. Labor market is fucked. And usually I try to redact F words, but Tony, I agree with you, especially here in New Zealand. I'd agree here in Australia as well. My crew and I lost our jobs, both factories which I manage, one in each island. Totally love them. I'm so sorry to hear. My saving grace, which invested in Bitcoin, all of my crew didn't listen to me and are suffering in terms of they are tapping into their retirement savings to make ends meet. That's absolutely fucked up. I'm so sorry to hear. Matt Warren, I think if anyone wants to donate Satoshis, collectively, if it's better for us to do it and put it to a charity together, but just go out and do something nice, like as I say every video, for yourself, but for somebody else. Whether you buy somebody a coffee or just your donation is sending them, a couple of Satoshis on the Lightning Network to show them how easy it is. If President Trump can half get it right, and you're willing to spend a couple more minutes with someone instead of just getting a media photo, they can get it like that. And that light bulb moment when they see Lightning go from, like, they scan the code, it goes from there, and they're like, what? But then you get them to realize that they could be anywhere in the world and it'd be exactly the same time. That's amazing when that light bulb goes off. So I don't know. Greatly appreciate, Matt. But yeah, if people just want to pay it forward in any way, if they wanted to send Satoshis, I'd be humbled on that. I like this, Tony. E-boot, hey gang. But Tony, think long term, people. Buy what you can when you can. Bitcoin is a safety net that will outperform your 401k or Aussie US equivalent 100%. I didn't realize you donated Bitcoin after getting it. I can certainly do that. Thank you, Matt. Decentralized dad. We will step up to 79k and all bears will hibernate. I absolutely agree. And whatever the price is short term, does it actually matter? Bitcoin is going much higher. Does it happen tomorrow? Maybe not. What happened today signals the start of that. We've had quantitative tightening for the last 4 years. And, well, not for the last 4 years, for the last 2 years. And it's coincided, we are going to the presidential election cycle. There's no way it's not going to pump. And then guess what? Like, if it dumps, imagine like if it went to 20 or 30k, what a grand and glorious opportunity. And we just need to be able to scoop it up and wait for time. But I really do think over the next 6, 12, 18 months, it is going to be more surprising than I think any of us can imagine. And I think, I'm expecting a couple of Black Swan events, something for the World Economic Forum, the World Health Organization, to be able to try seize control. And I think that'll lead to exorbitant amounts of money printing at the same time. And hopefully I'm wrong and Bitcoin just goes up into the right slowly so people can get onto the life raft because fiat's dying. Bitcoin might, maybe, and shall win. 100% it shall win, but it might, maybe. It reminds me of that saying that as a kid, as a tongue twister, coulda, woulda, shoulda, but didn't, but coulda, woulda, shoulda. And then Bitcoin did just that. G'day, Underworlders. You're all looking good today. Bitcoin Buddha. It's those stack and sats that I think they're really good for your health. Sats and steak. And it's amazing. Every time I meet any Bitcoiner, they're just so bright in their eyes. They're alive. Where most people are walking around like this, like little bots, bro. They're stuck in the matrix. And you're like, fuck, come out, Neo. Like, wake up. Just wake up, Neo. Life's good. Life's amazing. Get onto this Bitcoin thing. It's fucking good for you. And when they do get it, you can see that unfucking, like, it's like waking up and be like, hey, this is life. Life is pretty cool. At least it's been my experience. McLovin, good to see you in the house. Good morning. Matt Fry, g'day team. Lacola, good morning. Fiat Man, Holler Sean. Good morning, Fiat Man, Holler Sean. I like that. It doesn't make any sense to me, but I like it. AF, bullish AF or just AF? Bitcoin is guaranteed to rise with global M2 money supply. All global central banks are about to start cutting rates now that the US has. If we don't go up, that means Bitcoin is manipulated AF. World's hardest, scarcest asset. Obviously, paper Bitcoin is possible. We touched on Oliver's thoughts. I think that's a nice way to be able to approach it. I still do think people are going to try. They are going to end up in jail or dead. But people are still going to try. There's greed comes into it. Are they going to be able to do it to the extent that's a little bit auspicious? Talking about it, manipulating Bitcoin 666 in the house, bloody hell. 936. At least we got the numbers of the universe back there to be able to balance it out. How funny. But I like paper Bitcoin, even if they do it, it won't last very long. And maybe it happens at the end of the cycle, sort of like FTX. Maybe it doesn't happen. But long term, like it's just a very short, dangerous game they can play. Yeah, so I guess it's less likely now, but we'll see. Lucky Red Fish did send me a really good message. I won't share the DMs, but I will bring it up in regards to Deloitte's, and these are the people auditing Coinbase. So Deloitte has paid a $900,000 fine, legal fees of $695, totaling $1.5 million, and admitted it failed to have the necessary policies and procedures in place to ensure its services were performed in accordance with generally accepted standards of practice of the profession. So that's the Coinbase auditors. They have been fined, and not a big amount of money, only $1.5 million. So in the financial world, that's a pretty small fine. But it does show that they haven't always gotten things right. So hopefully they get this one right. Ideal U2X size, one number, go. I have a question for the doctor. I'm curious if it's more detrimental to one's health to go heavy on protein but still have some carbs. Are high fats and cholesterol is bad with carbs? That's an epic question, hamster. Is fats and cholesterols are bad with carbs? That's great. I'll do my best to bring that up. Smash the like, Matthew J. Appreciate you. When I went on the carnivore, I really craved orange juice and wonder if that was offsetting any potential benefit. I was too undisciplined to cut it out completely. Not sure. I'll ask him about that, but I was getting these headaches, so I needed to take, or I added electrolytes in there yesterday, and then someone was saying coconut water, which I love and drink a lot of in general. But then other people saying, no, don't include it because it's high in sugar. So maybe the sugar content, obviously orange juice is high in sugar, or fructose as well. Most millionaires already own nothing and are happy. Most of them have other people manage their money. It's not a bad idea to own very little as well, but you do want to be able to have control of it. If they backed fiat with Bitcoin instead of gold, oil, etc., or a basket of things, they could milk this fiat Ponzi on for several more decades, maybe and definitely because of Bitcoin. Yeah, they could. And it probably would be a better case scenario than what's going on now. Obviously, I just want to see the two separate completely. We've got a system that works, that's fair, that allows people to take freedom and control back into their own lives. But we'll continue to watch. There will be a swallow and an excuse to print, like all get out, maybe several. Steve, I couldn't agree more. That's news with the fast facts. Again, if you haven't already, if you can do us a favor, smash the like button. You're all legends. It's a grand and glorious day. We have the red buy button, but it is held pretty sideways after a pretty big rate cut. And I think we're going to get another one about the same size, or 25 basis points by the end of the year. We'll continue to watch the CME group, their Fed Watch tool, as we get closer to those events. We do have the election coming up. Money printer, like Steve was saying, whatever reason they can find, they're going to find a reason. Bitcoin's going to bump. in my opinion. Hopefully, your bags are packed. If we get these sideways low prices, this consolidation for another 2 weeks or 2 months, I don't think it's going to last that much longer, in my opinion. But at least that's what I'm preparing myself for. And maybe that's to give myself a little bit of FOMO, to be able to have urgency, just to be able to go as hard. Because those moments when Bitcoin really rips and you're like, oh yeah, I did well, but did I go hard enough? You don't want to have that feeling of disappointment within myself. At least that's how I approach it. Can't wait for the interview with Dr. Baker. Stay free, StackSat. New sold as an Aussie source potassium. If you want that, I'm replacing coconut water with water mixed with new salt throughout the day, carefully measured, of course. Epic. I'll check out that new salt. Matt, that's the joys of Bitcoin. Everyone's so helpful. In that regard, we'll see you tomorrow. If you've got any questions, tag me on X within the next 15 minutes to include with Dr. Sean Baker. Be blessed. Peace. Do something nice for yourself. For somebody else. That's the mission that we're on. Peace.
Everything seemed normal. Successful businesses were functioning as they usually should. Money was being placed in the bank as savings. Life was good. Nobody notices anything funny. But 2008 hits and all hell breaks loose. Everything we thought about money and the banking was a complete lie, a complete sham, a Ponzi, a scam. The whole world fell apart and a lot of people got hurt financially. And as a result of this, the Bitcoin white paper was born. But yet the same mistakes keep happening over and over again. People are leaving money on their institutions up until the last straw, FTX, when billions of dollars were lost, families were decimated, life savings were completely wiped, and people were wondering what on earth just happened. We have an option to take full custody of our funds, and that's Bitcoin. We just have to learn the process. It's not hard. It's just something we've never had to do before. Otherwise, the same mistakes are going to keep repeating themselves, and people are going to continue to get hurt over and over and over until they learn you need to exit the system in order to protect yourselves and your loved ones.